full CIS Dota to actually bring a lot of chaos to the game. Where Complexity, they try to like bring a very clear game plan at least to the laning stage, and they're like either doing their dual lanes or they've got the Iron Talon basis so that we can see Z-Freak roam and try to control the mid matchup. I feel like Friends, they can just kind of bring a lot more of a pub mentality to this. They can start drafting for pickoff, they can start drafting for like these just quick jumps and skirmishes and try to really rattle Complexity in the early game.
Complexity can't make this a pub.
That's exactly that's exactly right, and that's kind of why I was looking forward to playing this tournament for this particular team. That you've got teams in the field that are going to play you very differently. You've got Secret that is going to rat you, and you've got a team like Friends that is going to be bringing the fight to you, looking to skirmish, and you have to make sure that your communication and your decision making holds up against those various opponent types of play. Complexity are going to go in for the Earth Spirit, and Zach is a Z-Freak, one of the top Earth Spirit players in the world, if not easily top 3. I think that's a good
analyst.
Maybe.
He's actually not wrong,
top
though.
3.
Z-Freak's Earth Spirit is insane. It's very good.
It's crazy that they put so much value in it that they'll actually still go for it as a first pick.
But this is also something that we talked about, especially after the Secret Series yesterday, whether or not we want to play against, in particular, the Shadow Demon and the Drow.
To be fair, I don't think that Friends Drow lineup is going to be as scary as what Team Secret would bring to the in general.
I agree. I mean, obviously, Secret were playing much better than I think what Friends showed in their first match the other day. So,
but just in terms of mentality as well, like we talked about it yesterday, where when they had the Drow Ranger lineup, suddenly they had this huge compulsion to 5-man, and then they kind of split up, and they only found a few okay, like have 50-50 engagements. Now, Secret is a team that can really make use of their cooldowns, make use of their teamfight abilities, and coordinate well enough to really press an early advantage and take tower after tower, take fight after fight. I feel like the Drow Ranger is kind of hedging Friends into a funnel that they're not really optimal at.
And I guarantee you right now that the discussion among coL is do we go back to that Beastmaster again?
Sure.
Because that was a hero that we really had so much trouble getting a lot out of in the games yesterday. The laning matchups were problematic with Secret coming back with the Tidehunter pick. So I think coL are deciding now whether we want to stick to our guns or introduce a little bit of variation.
What about like just a simple Wyvern grab instead if you want to pass on the Beastmaster? Do you think the Drow is worth?
Beast would be banned in the second phase, and Wyvern is much less likely.
Less likely.
I'd actually kind of like to see either a Wyvern or an Axe here.
It's hard to go both supports in the opener, though, just as a general statement in these kinds of drafts.
Although that's exactly what Secret did yesterday.
Oh yeah,
remember opening ET Shadow Demon.
They have
in the
no
second
shame.
game.
Yeah, they're
But
like,
the difference is ET and Shadow Demon are so flexible in where they can play, offensively, defensively, where on the map. I feel like you're going for a Wyvern Earth Spirit. The only wild card is where Z-Freak hits, and you just prep for that. Whereas the Wyvern is very guaranteed going to be zoning on the safe lane. Like, it's just one of those things where you don't get as much counterplay if you're drafting it later. Whereas the Elder Titan is a hero that can counter half the cores in the pool to an extent.
Yeah.
So it's just a different mentality, but I like the Axe here.
Yeah, no, this is a philosophy that the team, and even going back to last year, even Fly has espoused for a very long time, that, you know, when you get a Radiant side safe laner like a Drow Ranger, the best thing that you can possibly have going against that is just lane shove. Make her last hit under her tower, because it's a hero that is so easily diveable if you have good aggressive dueling potential.
I would say it's not too shabby having the Shadow Demon at least on your side against an Axe. He's very nice to disrupt.
Well, now it's like, so they banned the Dazzle, right? Because it's Friends saying they don't want to pick it themselves, because they have the first pick out of this ban phase. So they already have another idea of how they want to deal with it, and I'm assuming they know that Axe is going to the off lane. Like, I don't see any other way to run
careful
this.
Though, because that's the other reason that okay, so that's a really good Wyvern ban, first of all.
Both those bans are great.
Now, the other thing I'll tell you is, remember Complexity in the past, it's been a couple of months now, but they have run Limp on Axe as well. They've run Axe as a mid laner and a safe laner.
Yeah, they did do that. They have,
and they're still comfortable doing that.
How's the Morphling for Complexity? Do you think Hanskin could maybe pick that up?
The timing of Morphling is really hard to utilize, I think, against a Drow strat. So you have that really awkward stage where you don't really do enough damage and you can't really fight that well yet, and you need like a second item. and I don't feel like they're going to have that time, because right now Friends, like, their draft I think is much more flexible to complexities, because they can put Drow mid, they can put Drow safe lane, the Shadow Demon can make rotations, but they're already showing really strong lanes no matter what. Whereas complexity, Axe is a volatile pick. He can either own or he can just completely fall flat depending on how his laning phase goes. So
I think the volatility of Axe is a little bit less now that you have the option to Iron Talon jungle. That hero is actually a really good Iron Talon jungle.
He can jungle extremely fast, that's true. And maybe complexity are more okay with just, saying, all right, we're going to sack the lanes, and we're just going to try to get a faster blink on the Axe to maybe make something happen during the mid game. And with the Crystal Maiden pickup, maybe that's more in line with what they want to do, because I don't really see the CM making too much happen on her own. Like, maybe a Z-Free can get a nice couple of roll-ins. They could maybe get a kill on somebody, but...
Now, I will... Oh, okay.
Buddy.
Now, this is something I was wondering if we would go back to against the Drow strat. The Brood Mother, Chessie actually plays a really, really strong Brood. I'm wondering here, though, there's a weird stat that I kind of don't know what to make of. Wisp actually has a really bad second phase win rate. When Wisp is picked in the second phase, win rate's below 40%. So I'm not quite sure what to make about that.
I think there's a lot of teams that try to use IO as a get out of jail free card, use them reactively for the relocate tether against maybe a lasso or something that just puts a hero in a bad position. Sure, the Drow gets called, then you can bail him out, but a lot of teams tend to overdraft and overreact to certain threats, and if you're picking up a second phase Wisp in a defensive fashion, you're not playing a Wisp game. You're playing a Venge game that swaps them out. So I feel like it's just generally speaking, if you look at across the board how all the teams use Wisp, if you're not prioritizing the Wisp, you're going to be using him in a subpar fashion.
So this is a little bit, again, with the Viper left in the pool, as we talked about in the previous series, the TA pick is a little bit risky, but again, coL is, their philosophy to TA is more that if we can bring pressure on both side lanes, that we can get away picking TA even if the mid matchup isn't ideal, and I think with the first 4 heroes of the draft, we're very well positioned to do that.
Shadow Demon should just sit mid this entire game. Like, he's not going to be able to do enough to the Broodmother, so just go up against the TA Disruptor, break Refraction, and try to levy that mid matchup is pretty much the best thing you can do.
And this also makes it likely. I really didn't like yesterday that they put G on the Drow Ranger mid. G needs to be, in my opinion, on a playmaking, a snowball type hero.
Well, I agree with that sentiment, but it was also the fact that they just sacked him. Like,
yeah,
they didn't help him at all, and I think that's maybe even a bigger mistake, because he's the kind of person where, sure, if he's an impact hero, he's gonna have influence over the game, but if you just leave him alone and he's playing Drow and he just gets ran at, like, you can't expect any player to make a good situation out of that. So I'm kind of wondering if they still want to do that this game. They're definitely thinking about it.
Bristle.
I don't think...
Yeah, Legion Bristle is your basic Brood answers.
Yeah, Bristle's good. I think Bristle might be better than Legion this game.
Yeah, I'd say so. There's, Frostbite and stuff like that.
But there's actually no save, so maybe Legion's still okay.
It's not bad.
Yeah, the problem with it is that if you really aren't, again, maybe Drow is just that good, and we've seen yesterday Fnatic draft Drow without any classic counters, but this I like just because you got to take advantage of the Drow aura somehow, right?
Yeah, and I think they might just give that to G, because it's
I think so too.
A bit more of a flexible hero for him. It's not just a static sit in your lane and hit creeps kind of thing.
At the same time, though, this is a pretty, assuming it is TA against the Mirana mid, I think that's a fine matchup for TA.
Yeah, they actually, I think they have automatically won 2 lanes here. I mean, the Broodmother and the TA have so much potential to win this out unless No Fear just does some amazing things on the Shadow Demon. But in general, I think the Friends have to really focus on their first item spike. When they get the Aghanim Scepter on the Mirana, and they can deal with the spiders conveniently, where while the Blink Dagger's up on Yoku and he can make his jumps, that's when Friends need to start really playing to win, rather than the laning phase, which is pretty much automatically going to coL.
Okay, so Blaze, what do you think here?
I think that complexity, they've drafted really well for their lanes. The Broodmother pick has only pseudo-answered. I think it's going to be a really good Brood game, and I think that complexity are going to have a great time.
Yeah, biased analyst, I have to go with my boys' call, but we will hand it off right now to Dakota and Draskel. D&D, take it away.
D&D. Hey, Draskel. So we're getting ready to hop into game number 1 of our Friends vs. Complexity series. I got to hear what your takes on it. For me, at least, both of these lineups, they seem all good and fun. Both have a chance of potentially falling off a bit, but I have to default back to the fact that coL is a team.
They are a team.
So,
but I feel like these types of lineups that Complexity have are very lane driven. Like we talked about, like the Brood has to win her lane, the TA has to win her lane as well. And I think that, Limp and Chessie are the types of players who can definitely do that. But if they don't, And the Starladder manages to get a lot because, you know, they're going to be putting that brood bottom. Is the CM and the Earth Spirit going to make much happen top? We can already see the aggressive warding here coming out from coL. So they are going to be trying to keep an eye on that Starladder during the early game, because that to me is going to be the game's true X factor. It's not just about the timings of the rest of F.R.I.E.N.D.S lineup. It's if the Starladder has a good early game and can get a Blink Dagger, he can cause a lot of issues for Complexity's lineup.
We'll have to see here how fragile Complexity's laning phase could actually be or not. Looks like they'll add a lot of pressure towards the top rune, and we'll have to also keep tabs with Friends and how they're going to look to deal with this Broodmother. I imagine some sentries are going to be in hand, but
yeah,
you know, they're going to not allow her to kind of get to that quick level 3, get that quick cell ring, and the next thing you know, Friends just lose their jungle altogether, and you have very few outs on any sort of catch-up farm if things do go a bit south in the laning stage. Suddenly,
oh dear,
Z-Freak appears, rolls in, looks to go for Yoku. He gets off a crush, but he is surrounded by 4 frickin' people, and they're going to save the first blood for Z-Freak. He's going to pick that one up, and a hot start for Complexity already.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm not really sure why Yoku decided to go for that rune.
No clue.
I mean, I suppose it's a little bit of a weird direction to get engaged on, because Z-Freak rolled in from the high ground on the other side of him, so maybe he just wasn't expecting him to be in that position that quickly, but still, you kind of have to go under the assumption that you're not going to get that for free, or you might not even get it at all, so not the greatest start for the hero that I emphasize, you know, having a pretty good game.
Solid early caster curse coming out from him.
Yeah.
So, well played there. Back at bottom, there's no fear. He does have the sentry already down in the woods. Jesse's going to be walking right over it here, so it is going to be pinged out, and we'll just have to see if Friends are going to look to try to find a way to smoke out the brood. Hi, how's it going right there? They spot him, and Jesse's forced to head more south. Turns a bit awkward for the supports here, but anything to kind of keep him out and away from the creeps.
I suppose, but it's still committing 2 supports to stop the brood from getting EXP. It's not really efficient. He's going to keep breaking the trees and just try to deforest, I guess, the entire area just so they can find Jesse, and it might actually work, because he's not getting any experience right now, which means he won't be 2, and he doesn't have a TP scroll either, so he's going to be down here for a while.
I don't mean to draw all the way back to the draft, but was Timbersaw banned out? Well, I believe it was a Timber pick at the end against the Axe against the...
I actually don't think he was banned.
Man, it was just interesting. Oh, mid lane.
Almost solo dies there.
Looks like Limp will be able to make some space, gets the salve up, and it's G who will be hit pretty hard there at the end, but...
I mean, for the first few levels, Tia should be fairly heavily favored in this matchup, because you can't really break through Refraction that well, and you can't use Starstorm in any other way than just to clear the creep wave, and even if you land an arrow, again, if Limp Refraction's fast enough, you're not going to be able to get a reliable kill.
And for what it looks like with both those supports hanging around the bottom lane, dealing with the brood, it's Mirana on her own, so if she lands that arrow, it's on her to kind of make it work. Well, I mean, I'm looking at the minimap. The brood is still shoved in that corner, so I guess it's okay for Friends to make sure he's got nowhere really to go.
He is just in his...
Just don't come out from there.
It's my safe place right now. I'm not leaving here, ever.
Eventually the creeps will come forward and he'll be able to worm his way out. They can only hold it for so long, because, you know, you have problems happening here on the other side of the globe. It looks like Axe is kind of able to do his own business here. Favors the one-on-one matchup against the Starladder, I would imagine, a bit. Yeah, Starladder can't hold his own, but he was first blooded.
Yeah, I think that the supports are really going to struggle in this game for Friends, because they're not naturally good against Brood. Obviously, that's why Complexity picked it in the first place. But a lot of the time on Shadow Demon, you want a Disruption partner to play a bit greedy Z-Freak.
He's got to roll away. But yeah, as you mentioned, he has the roll, and there's no easy way for them to block him unless they disrupt him now and then try to walk in front of him. But he'll take the initiative and blocking him out with a Boulder Smash. Get the hell away. And we'll walk all the way up and around. But, you know, I was surprised Complexity, you know, is one of those teams that are still very quick to make sure they grab the Earth Spirit for themselves. Obviously, as mentioned, Z-Freak loves to play it. He's very good on the hero. But we always have to question, like, just where the hero is now in this meta. There's not a lot of easy targets. You know, a lot of strength cores are more popular now. But there is a Mirana, and if he goes for the early grip and wants to go for a silence, maybe they could set something up. But he actually favored the 2-1-0 build, so he just favors more burst of damage.
Yeah, it's a longer stun too. Yeah. The stun is a more reliable way to get a kill in the early game than having your third spell, and plus you don't really have the greatest mana pool to be able to kind of time it out.
Roll in,
you can, but it's kind of like you do one combo and then you're out of mana if you have 1-1-1.
Yeah, you have to make it work with the one combo. It
was the same reasoning as why roaming Miranas used to skill more points into arrow and not bother getting Starstorm, because it's like you throw the arrow and if it lands you get a kill regardless of whether or not you have Starstorm. It's kind of the same for the Earth Spirit, I think, in this case.
Yeah. Sure, put some value into it later, but as mentioned, even if it's a Mirana and you don't have a silence, she'll leap away potentially. TPs will probably rotate in. It's not going to be too easy to target. It looks like he changed course to go up to the top lane. Bottom lane though, it's Jesse's back in the lane. His Broodmother's built up some farm, level 3 now, so just making those many little 8-legged baby steps into the laning phase.
Yeah, everything's pretty much going as expected, and oh god, Yoku, you are so dead.
Yeah, they just roll on forward. They even got Handskin involved with this one. Yoku will be able to get off the crush, but your Starladder, who, you know, we're hoping to be able to succeed if you're a fan of the Friends to get the early Blink Dagger, has been taken down another peg.
I wonder if it's worth it for Yoku to have just tried to rotate bottom and kill the Brood, because like if they disrupt, for example, and they have a dust and they just get a crush, they should be able to kill Chessie, I think, with that many heroes. And sometimes it's not about what you can get out of your lane, because clearly, if you're going up against the Axe, the Starladder is not going to be in an advantage lane at all. And it's not like he was getting a whole heck of a lot. Like right now he has 8 CS. It doesn't really seem like it's worth it for him to be there right now. And I mean, he died for a tower that's like, who cares about that tower? That tower doesn't really do anything for you.
Yeah. Now coL is getting that first tower takedown though against this Drow lineup, but you know, Friends are still getting a lot, at least for the Drow, 33 and 8 CS for her. She hangs around that bottom lane. But we'll have to see what Friends are going to be looking to do with it, because it's obvious that coL are being a bit more proactive for the time being. But, you know, is there a point when Friends really need to consider ramping it up? I imagine it can't be all the way until Starladder gets his Blink Dagger.
I mean, that's honestly, that's the biggest power spike they have outside of obviously G getting level 4 Starstorm and you getting like Relocate or Shadow Demon maybe getting Demonic Purge. Oh god, why are you here, Yoku?
He walks into trouble. He gets frozen up, hit with a Boulder Smash, and dumped off with his ugly Starladder head, which we hope Valve changes in the near future. He goes down, and it's now 0-4 advantage.
Yeah, they lost the Shadow Demon as well to the Brood.
No bueno.
Yeah, this is, again, obviously Complexity, we're going to have the superior lanes. There was never really any question about that, but Yoku, even going back to yesterday, he doesn't really feel like he's playing his best, because back when he played offlane originally before they switched him up on DP to play something else, I always felt like he was a really strong offlaner. So Arrow's gonna connect here, but not really much to follow it.
Just a hate Arrow.
Yeah, I don't know, I just feel like Yoku's not really feeling himself lately. It's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, really hit his stride during his Empire run when he originally was making his strong waves in the offlane. Then as you mentioned, they switched it up to Virtus Pro, or he was, you know, I think it was said he wanted to do core, he likes playing the core position, or at least the carry position, so they put him on the 1, but, you know, based on results, stats, numbers, and such, it was pretty obvious that Yoku's natural position was in the offlane, and he was hitting huge strides there on the back end of Virtus Pro's life. But yeah, with this new team, who really knows what the motivation is for him. Yeah, but here we go. Now, bottom lane, disrupting setup, they're taking a bit of your advice. Can they burst down Chessie? Yes, they can! It's gonna be Friends who finally get themselves on the board, and they'll try to go for more here. Beautiful 4-man Boulder Smash from Z-Freak, but it's just delaying the inevitable, as he will also go down, and Friends quickly string together 2 kills in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that's one of the bigger reasons why I figured, you know, the Starladder hits level 3 or 4 maybe. He could even have started jungle, and I wouldn't have thought it was too bad this game. Because what, the CM is probably not going to rotate, Z-Freak's going to be the only moving part here. The Axe is going to farm safe lane, maybe the CM jungles too. But as long as you get a level or 2, and you have a Shadow Demon on your team, I think you need to make more use of that combo while you have it. Especially since, okay, is he dead again?
Deep roll in, connects with the grip. Can he find the Boulder Smash? No, he cannot. Guesses south, but that's not going to be the connection. Turnaround smash.
There are no TPs though.
Pokes him a bit here, but yeah, as mentioned, no TPs. It looks like there's some funny business happening here in the bottom lane. No Fear very low, trying to run away. Not going to be able to make it out. Looks like Crystal Main will be able to get the last hit on that one. And Complexity look to make their move, but Friends are already on the way out.
And Swindle's got his Vanguard Tranquils already. It's not even 8 minutes into the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's getting big.
He had a super free farm lane, and they have an Ancient stack as well for Limp.
Wonderful, and they even already had the Sentry already down.
Yeah, this is really nice timing too, because if they need to, the Axe can come back and tank it for him, and he can just kill it. Or they can just go for like another stack on top of what they already have and just get even more out of it. Oh no, he misses because the ward's down. Okay.
Does Friends do something about this? Can they do something about this, or are they forced
contesting that pole is pretty hard to do, because you're walking through a choke point, and you have to hope that they don't have any detection down in the area, because Moonlight Shadow is the best way of starting a fight right now.
Yeah.
So maybe if they had a good Mirana ulti to contest the stack, it's possible. But I think they're feeling a little bit too scared to make that kind of rotation, because their laning phase has not gone well.
Is this from what I hear, you know, from a lot of people, why Dire have that little bit more of advantage? It feels like the Ancient spot is just a bit more safe on the Dire side than it is on Radiant.
It is harder to contest, I think, because the way that you have to funnel up that hill, and there's a second high ground that you can kind of stand on behind the Ancients to get into a better position for some of your heroes.
Yeah.
So it's definitely tough, but you know, they're trying to counter pressure a bit. They're grouped up here. Z-Freak's got an invis. He's not level 6 though.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Could roll in and try to set a Magnetize, but he's quite far off, but instead will relay the intel for the rest of his team. Swindles is on the scene. And they're thinking about making a move onto him. Just give it the amp damage. The poison decides to pull off, does avoid the grip and the call. So good heads up fake there from Friends, or at least deciding to pull off at the perfect moment. Nonetheless, they are in it to win it for this tier 1 tower. Oh, arrow right through the tower will connect on the Z-Freak. They make their move in. There goes the Starstorm, and they'll get the finish on the Earth Spirit. Can they clean up more? They're going to get the crush for Limp. Limp not going to be able to make it away. That's a 2-man takedown for Friends, plus the follow-up at the tower. Well. Yeah, Swindle creeps in from behind, gets the call off, drags him back and away, looks to re-engage, but he gets blasted back with the gust. Tries to get some swings off, not going to be able to get the finish for Yoku. He also goes down, and now a wild spider has appeared. It's Chessie. And, well, wants to follow up with a takedown on the Drow, but is going to be forced to pull off. G looks to re-engage. They are going to get the last hit on the tower as well. This is a lot of money going the way of Friends.
That was huge for Friends. They're going to lose G.
Yeah, maybe got a little overzealous there. G will valiantly try to make a leap away, but he is not going to be going too far.
Yeah, he's definitely a goner. I mean, all things considered, that was really good. After the tower died, G had no business continuing to chase. Like, there's no reason. He didn't have that much mana. He couldn't even do a full combo, and he just got a little bit too greedy in that situation. So, I mean, all that started off by landing that arrow. I mean, in hindsight, it would have been much better for Complexity to just back off and just let Z-Freak die. Maybe sack the tower.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
coming in where it was kind of
they have Chessie there as well. So the Brood comes mid to try to help defend a tier 1 tower. I feel like in these types of games, prior to the Wisp having relocate and no Blink Dagger on Slardar, you are completely free to just crush your lane.
Yeah.
Like, you just go bottom, you hit the tier 2, you know, you force Friends to react to you. Because if you're playing reactionary Dota against what Friends are trying to do, you're going to eventually get pulled apart, especially during that mid game once those items start coming out. So I'm a little bit concerned that Complexity are maybe playing the lineup not the way that it's meant to be played, but reacting too much to what Friends are doing.
Can I see, what does Chessie have? I was trying to see, maybe he has already inklings of an early fighting build-up or something, but...
Yeah. He's going, I think, for the Echo Saber. He's got the mask in his inventory on top of the Soul Ring. That seems to be like the build now.
Is that more... Okay, we might hold that thought. It looks like they make an engagement towards the top lane. There's going to be the Magnetize committed as they look to try to burst up and take down the Shadow Demons. They will get Swindles down. And now with the Magnetize out and recharging, this could be a little trouble for Friends, but Friends are going to get the first 2 takedown there. Relocate back to the base to save him, but they are going to lose the Wisp on the last tick of Magnetize, it looks like. So, nice little return fire from Complexity, but an engagement where Friends come out on top.
I mean, Yoker's going to have his blink before Swindles, and that's really bad. Yeah. Like, granted, he went for the Vanguard first. The Slardar is making huge recoveries based on his movement. Like, they're playing together as a team. They're creating chaos on the map, which is what we said they need to do against a team like Complexity. And, you know, for the time being, they're definitely making it happen.
coL can't get sucked into that kind of game where they just want to play scrappy Dota in the mid lane. They need to, as mentioned before, remember the purpose of their draft and split apart the map and force Friends to be split up and not allow them to kind of do that divide Dota that we like to see from them.
I mean, it's tough though. I mean, once you start losing a little bit, you get into this mentality where you're like, we have to stop them from taking objectives away from us. But at the same time, Brood's not built to be able to walk into a team fight with a Soul Ring and Phase Boots and have a large impact. You know, you need to get items. Like your whole purpose is to eat the map and make the enemy team come down there and address you directly. Oh, he's going Orchid. Okay, he's not going for the Echo Saber. Or no, he still could be buying Echo because it takes Oblivion Staff.
Yes, but yeah. Already has the Sobi mask there, so he's good to go. Yeah, because I don't really see any super value out of going the Orchid in this game. So I imagine more of that fighting kind of a build in order for Chessie there in the bottom lane. But it looks like
they're hunting the Brood for sure.
This is the Blink debut now for Yoku on Friends as they smoke and run their way towards this bottom lane. Are they going to be able to get the catch? Lone Handskin, but it looks like they spotted out Z-Freak in the river. There's the jump, there's the crush. He's trying to find a way to probably roll out and out from this Roche pit here. Looks like he did not make it out. The disruption rather caught him. He does dish out the Magnetize and will drop a stone for any last longevity of that ult, but he will lose his own life. They also got Hanskin down. So that's 3 straight skirmishes for Friends. All of them getting the most out of it.
This is a really bad sign for Complexity. Like their heroes, like now it's to a stage where the Axe already wanted to have the Blink Dagger done. So you don't have the initiation that you need. Like sure, he's close, but he's already died twice before he managed to pick it up. The TA has already died a couple of times as well. You know, Friends are pulling back from the laning phase that maybe wasn't amazing. And Roshan being an objective that a TA team wants to take, and he's almost going to drop again. No bash skill though on the Slardar, so no RNGs for him. Yeah, I feel like the Brood maybe isn't doing enough. I guess the support sitting bottom and making sure that Chessie just got nothing out of the first few waves has hindered him to the point where during the mid game now the supports are free to do whatever they want because they have Relocate, they have a Blink Slardar, and they have like Dust and Moonlight Shadow, so they have multiple avenues of starting fights. And we talked about the CIS Dota and how they like to play and just giving themselves multiple ways of starting engagements. Like, that's their biggest strength.
So is it like Complexity could have played the early part just a little bit slower, like just, you know, you're running against a Drow lineup, you might just lose a couple of tier 1s along the way. You know, left C-Freak there, you know, Swindle could have kept his nose to the grindstone, finishing out the Blink Dagger. You already mentioned how the Brood could have stuck with the bottom lane and just built up the items necessary. It looks like something going nice for coL here. They get a good jump here for Aloha Dance, which will quickly rid of the Aegis. And now the TP's come through, and coL needs to kind of reevaluate the situation because Yoku's already here. Nice quick silence, prevents him from getting any crush off. They make a go for always want to fly. They will be able to take on the Wisp. Looking very nice for coL on this one. Now it's G caught in the middle. Boom! He gets dunked and taken down. Nice grab from Swindles on that one. And quickly, Friends need to get the hell out of there. They back off, they blink away, and coL will take the +1 in this tier 2.
Well, that's just the difference in having initiation versus not having it. I mean, the biggest difference is just waiting a little bit longer for the Axe to get a blink and realizing how important it is for your lineup to be able to do that. Because if it's just an Earth Spirit rolling in, that hero can die before the Axe even gets into the engagement prior to having blink. But if you have 2-pronged initiation and you manage to catch a hero out, unless the Shadow Demon is in perfect position, that hero's dead. Like, there's no way you're saving him. So that's just, again, maybe Complexity have now hit their stride with the acquisition of the Blink Dagger on Swindles, and now they can start looking for more fights. And just stopping the Aegis from being able to even get a single tier 1, I think is a really good thing for them.
So with the blink acquired and obviously kind of slamming their foot down there in the bottom lane, do coL kind of take it into autopilot rather for a bit and go into the farm game, or do you think they should get the most pressure and bloodshed at while they can with this blink?
I mean, the Blink Axe and the Brood, they want to constantly pressure the map. That's the purpose of the heroes.
Okay, here we go. Bottom lane.
Oh, he canceled.
Yeah, he canceled when it might have been an okay 2-man grab.
He would have hit everything.
But maybe he was like, yeah, hoping to bait out the leap. And anyways, as it turns out, unfortunately, Swindles will miss the mark on that one, and Friends will be able to get away.
They were spread out enough to the point where he second-guessed himself. He was like, maybe I'm not going to hit them, because he was like right in the middle, but I think he had it. Unfortunate. Would have been a really nice 2 kills there. Or even just killing the IO would have been good enough, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Complex will have to pull away from that one. Nice thing going for him is that Chessie still resides in the Friends jungle as his own home. And we'll be able to work with that while Friends kind of split the map elsewhere, and we'll have the Drow and Yoku Starladder farm up the top lane quite a bit so their cores can kind of get back into the grind.
It's a very close game still. I think either team can still walk away with this. It's just going to be down to who takes the better engagements.
Smoke from coL, and it looks like they're heading north. They want to scan out. It was a scan by Radiant, actually. It was a bit early, but it might... No. It was a little too early to see if they wanted to have the chance in spotting out coL with that one, but still something a bit uneasy here. Looks like Swindle's been able to spot out No Fear. That is going to be the Moonlight Shadow. Could end up saving them if they don't have the vision here. Always want to fly, committing it deep with G. Very deep, right to the coL army right now, and that's going to be the unleash of the Magnetize. Aloha Dance is going to get the first kill, and they quickly bring down 2 from coL here. Limp decides to stand and fight, but it's only going to be to his own demise. It's a 1 for 3, make it a 1 for 4, as Yoku's going to be able to get the last little grab right there, taking down Z-Freak. Friends also going to get down Chessie. A 5-man wipe Draskell, and that was coL's smoke gank to the top lane.
I don't know why the Brood is even there, honestly. Like,
still should be bottom being a Brood, yeah?
Yeah, so this is the mentality that Friends are adopting, right? They're saying, okay, since we know that you guys have a Brood, most times we should be able to outmaneuver you, get to the fight faster, and just crush you 4v5. That's basically what happened, because Chessie wasn't really into the fight until the very last second, and he was basically just an extra kill. Like, he didn't really contribute anything. So in that game, the best thing that you can do is make it so Friends can't just take free objectives and farm your side of the map after the fight, which is why you need to be somewhere else on the map causing pressure. If you're not pressuring his Brood, you're not playing Brood. You should give him another hero. Like, why is he there?
Spider just doesn't have the time to be somewhere and make a web and a home for himself. For right now, it just feels like I want to put on my Spider boxing gloves and be a part of the action, but unfortunately it just becomes a little too late and ends up handing over a bit more here to Friends. But coL back in action now, looking to make a bit of a recovery play here, but Chessie is not having any of it because there's a lot of pressure from Friends already now heading to this bottom. They'd love to clear out what looks like this tier 1, and that could make options like Roche a bit easier for them.
Yeah, both teams take Roche extremely fast, so it's just a matter of who wins the engagement around the pit. It looks like Complexity are going to be emphasizing going for one more fight here. They already have a very low Shadow Demon on the side of Friends too, so this could be a bit tricky if they continue to fight. Or, you know, pressure the tower.
Or use them as bait, we'll see. Arrow is going to be off the mark there by G. No Fear just like dangling himself in front.
Yeah.
Oh man, he knew it. He knew it too. He's like, you're gonna come in, boom, instant disruption. We're gonna turn it right onto you, Swindle. And he may have just bit off a little bit more he could chew. Swindle is set to go down, but there is a bit of a response play here as Chessy does commit in deep. Will be able to finish off No Fear, and they get 2 others. Magnetize is gonna be unleashed, and suddenly it's Complexity getting the upper hand on this one. Yoku tries desperately to hop over the mountain and up above. He's deep in the enemy side, and he will get slashed on down with the last hit of TA. And right the other way, it's a Friends 5-man wipe dress.
That was such a nice way to engage though. Like, it looked a little bit awkward at first because he pre-cast a disruption on Swindles, and then he goes in and just gets instantly taken out of the fight. But the thing is, Limp had a really nice flank in the backline and killed G really early on. Like, taking out the Aghanims Mirana in the beginning of the fight takes away so much of Friend's damage that they just couldn't compete with the right-click DPS of Complexity on top of the Magnetize. At that point, the fight's already just, we're so far behind in damage that we cannot possibly win. So that was one of the few engagements that Complexity took where it looked weird, but it worked out very well.
Yeah, and being able to isolate and take out a power hitter like G certainly made things a lot easier for the second round of that fight. And Complexity with their upper hand, they're not going to be able to follow up with any sort of objective game. Swindles heads right back into the farm game, as he does already have his Crimson Guard complete, as we know, very nice to have against this Drow lineup. But more of coL just kind of getting into preparation mode, not looking to advance towards the tier 2s quite yet.
I feel like, you know, Friends obviously getting wiped, losing a little bit of momentum there. And I'm not really sure, scaling-wise, Complexity, I suppose it's mainly the TA and the Axe that you really have to be worried about. But I feel like going into the later stages of the game, again, it's Friends' mobility as a lineup that I think might actually let them transition a little bit better than Complexity. So it's really good that they managed to take that fight so successfully and, you know, get objectives off of it, maybe continue to pressure the map a little bit. Because you can see, you know, Friends right now, they're going for a smoke. They're going to get spotted out by the ward. This is obviously not what you want.
Yeah.
But we'll see if they can make anything of it anyway.
It would be pretty surprising for coL to get caught from this one here. They swing all the way up and over. This time they stack the Moonlight Shadow on top of the smoke, but because coL already saw the first initial smoke here, obviously they're going to posture up in a very defensive position and not look to kind of hand over any sort of freebies here to Friends while they're on the prowl. coL could try to maybe use this to their advantage, but let's see. They move as a unit down to the bottom lane while still Friends are waiting in that side shop area. So this is very awkward. The winning team of this fight could end up following this up with a big Roche play, so it's pretty important.
It's very tense. It's going to be about the vision, who has the better jump. Like, we saw the difference. Yeah, we saw the difference between who gets the better initiation in 2 fights. One team gets 4-1, the other team gets 5-0'd.
Yeah.
Better start means fight is over super fast, and that happens when you have super high burst heroes like Ags, Mirana, and like a TA with a Deso.
Yeah.
Because you kill the hero so fast, the fight's over in seconds. So.
Yep. And then it's like burst leads to dunk, and suddenly 3 people are missing from the fight altogether.
Yep.
But here is Friends. They made that advancement. They didn't find anyone with the Moonlight Shadow or the smoke, and now they're turning into a siege for the tier 2 instead. An offensive disruption helps the Drow kind of get in there and finish off this tier 2 on the back end of the glyph. Pop by coL. Can they get the deny though? No, they can't. It's going to be taken down. Friends will just take the small winnings while they can, and they get the hell out of there.
That's another one of the nice options you always have when you have the Shadow Demon lineup with any hero that has good stats. Is just using the illusions to slow siege, making the enemy team either choose to sack the tower or engage into you in a suboptimal way. And clearly Complexity weren't feeling comfortable doing that, knowing that Roshan's going to be spawning relatively soon. They obviously can't know if it's going to be 8 to 11 minutes, so they're probably just saying, not worth fighting for the tower, too hard to engage.
coL attempting to wait for the Roche to come up. You see Swindle's a bit of a swing and a miss. Yoku's fast reactions to get out from the coL area there. While bottom lane, Chessy on his Brood, still not feeling enough of his presence that the Friends team has to continue to head down there and kind of deal with it, but it looks
he's
like
doing the right thing now, though.
Yeah, he's down there now, and it could force him to step away from this top lane or separate, you know, create the space so that coL can kind of get into that pit if they want.
Like, this is the first time I feel like they're actually playing around the Brood, because they're grouped up as 4 looking for something, like trying to cause some kind of fight or pressure.
Yeah.
And then they have the Brood elsewhere doing the same thing. That way they're making Friends choose what they want to stop.
Where do you want to defend? Choose.
Yeah, it's like a choose your own adventure book.
Yeah.
Squish the spider or fight 4v5.
First, you must roll the dice. It looks like they will be able to take the tier 2 at the top lane. And Friends have put their preparation towards this mid lane, but coL potentially on the way out. Still got about 30 seconds before the Roche will be back up here.
Ooh, SNY. Haven't seen that in a while.
SNY on Drow, and this is a substitute for potentially what else instead? Didn't get the Dragon Lance, I imagine?
I think he has Lance.
He does have Lance
He
too?
didn't get Manta, yeah.
Okay, no Manta. Well, I mean, I guess if you...
Oh, you know what? Actually, how close is Limp to BKB? Because he could disassemble and go Halberd maybe at some point. Yeah, because Limp's not making a BKB. It would be pretty decent against the TA, because that's like a huge chunk of their damage. We'll see though. It's not super common that you see a Dro buy a Halberd, but it wouldn't actually be too terrible in this game.
Yeah, we'll have to see how situational this does end up for Friends if they do decide that that is going to be in their best interest or not. And Roche is certainly up by now, and we see Complexity are kind of already in the neighborhood scouting it out with the Broodlings here, but just as they know it, so do Friends. So this is a pretty damn tense moment. Do you still feel like things are relatively even as far as
absolutely
both teams?
Even. It's going to be like a big team fight or like a smoke gank that decides what happens, because the fight's going to go so fast just due to the damage output of both of these teams.
Yeah. Heroes will get deleted right away here, and this could be a big tipping point for either team to kind of set the momentum. Maybe not even for just this game, but for this series. So we'll have to see. It's going to be an important one. And it looks like Friends are going to opt to try to do a little bit of a flank play potentially. They smoke, wrap, up and around. This is with a Moonlight Shadow as well. Limp, who was a little far outstretched from his friends, will be able to get nice and close. Meanwhile, up and above, we have Swindle.
This is a really bad spot.
He is okay. He's jungling away, but senses danger, blinks is out, and he will be good. Very tense, but Friends will not be able to get the catch on anybody with this smoke movement.
Yeah, the other thing too is not many heroes have buyback at this stage either. Like Limp bought his ultimate orb, so he's going to have the Manta relatively soon. Means there's pretty much no way getting back into the fight. But I like what Friends are doing because they're slowly but surely forcing coL back into their base. And you always kind of want to be in that position when you know Roshan's on the table, that you're the one dictating the lane equilibrium.
Swindle is a call, but you know Wisp is there behind to do.
Wow, that was.
I mean, was that necessary? I mean,
playing it safe, you know.
That is mega safe.
They have no vision, at least in the base. I think they saw one hero walking across the map, and that was the TA.
He touched you. We gotta go.
We're out of here. We don't have to take this. Oh, Chessie, you can't die here, dude.
Chessie, though, who does not have to relocate, just
can't die like
insta blown up, and that might be enough for Friends to go, you know what, let's go in the pit and make this work.
Yeah, that's...
No buyback for him either, so coL...
How did that even happen? Like...
He's just hanging around.
Yoku's casually on the cliff and just amps the spider on the low ground?
I guess so.
Was he going for a solo kill?
They see Swindles too. Swindles makes the early jump, and that's going to be the call. He tries to drag him out, but there is going to be a disruption to kind of cancel that one. And now the gun flies a low dance, unloads like a rifle, just shooting down Swindles. And now he looks to go for Z-Freak, but Z-Freak's already in her face, blows her up with the help of the Magnetize and her friends. So it turns into a 3-for-2 split, but it's Limp who's the one left standing into the pit to finish the job that had been started. He will quickly take down the Roche, take the Aegis, while Z-Freak takes the name of the Shadow Demon there. It is going to be Complexity who at the end of the day will be able to walk away the victors in this one, even starting out losing their Broodmother.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the damage done by the Magnetized Z-Freak during that fight. It was just insane. Limp got in really quick, managed to get a good burst on a couple of heroes. The CM ulti from Hanskin was also very nicely placed, killed Aloha Dance really early on inside of the team fight. And it looked, you know, not so bad for Friends. And it always seems like Swindles has to be the sacrificial lamb. Like, he goes in, eats a ton of damage, but it allows Limp to get in position. It allows the rest of the heroes to deal the DPS they need to get the important core kills. And this is the second time where the two damage dealers on Friends die very early on, and then all of a sudden Complexity can just run at you because you just don't have anything left.
But before we do that, I'm going to take you Ancients. I grab that up. Oh, that's a fun little pick. Swindles opts for the Yule Scepter on his axe.
It's pretty interesting. I mean, it's nice for chasing people down. Like with Battle Hunger and Yules, you can set up calls relatively easy. You can dispel the amp on yourself, because a lot of these fights, he jumps in, he gets amped, and he just gets destroyed. And he can't really do much else, because he doesn't have a 4-staff either. He decided to go Crimson instead. So I think it's an interesting choice. Usually you see things like Lotus, because Lotus does pretty much the same thing, but it gives you additional armor. The Yules is just a cheaper item, and it also gives you setup.
I actually like the idea of the Lotus, not hearing about it here.
It's super common pickup on Axe.
Uh-oh. Axe, though, full self-fuels, but he ends up falling right back down to his own demise.
Yeah. That's the one reason why you see Lotus instead of Yules, is because obviously he might have still been dead, but sometimes when you have to self-Yules to save, it's not actually saving you. It's just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah. And where in another case, maybe you could self-Lotus and reflect that something else back at him. Z-Freak tries to go for Boulder Smash. And that's the awkward part of it. Once you don't connect, he'll be able to easily shoot you down, but boom! Limp is here. Yeah, and we saw him grab the DD earlier, and he just pretty much slams the face of Drow on that one, and we'll be able to get vengeance for a fallen support and, well, both the brothers who went down.
Yeah, that was... They're playing so well around the TA. And this is one thing, too, that we talked about during the... Or even before the draft. We were saying, you know...
Jesus Christ.
That was some money right there.
That's a lot of stars falling down.
That was some money.
Wow, that was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to watch. But
sorry, as you were.
No, it's okay. I mean, I was pretty excited to see that too. That's the dream when you're playing against a Brood, right?
It's like sealing Halley's Comet or something.
You get a juicy echo on the spiders, and you just like, oh, 600 gold or something, and it feels good. It's very nice. But Limp is on a hero where I actually think that he can do a lot more this game than something like a Tiny could, you know? And that was just going back and saying, don't give him heroes that are so one-dimensional. Give him something where he can, you know, carry the game, help you secure Roshan, and make all these plays and still have carry potential. And I feel like TA is a really good fit for that kind of hero, so I'm glad to see Complexity put him on it. And I know he's played it in the past, but for this particular game, it's worked wonders.
And what about the urgency here from coL? I mean, we mentioned briefly before about, you know, their late game scaling. It's pretty good. I mean, they're already building up pretty damn nice where TA hits like a truck. Broodmother's been off and on about being a pest in the side pushing, but for the others, you know, I know personally, like, unless you get an Ags or a Spirit, is not going to be very, very relevant in the late game. He does have those utilities, but should coL be nervous about the way they kind of advance this game? Are they okay taking it a bit slower here? I say that, but Swindle's already made his move to try to get the finish here, and we'll be able to get the grab for the Shadow Demon, so a nice little support pickoff, but it looks like they are kind of taking the initiative to move forward and take tier 2s.
They definitely are. And on paper, sure, Friends might scale marginally better, and they have better ways of controlling the map, but that's assuming that they're ahead. And because of the Roshan fight going so poorly for them and Complexity kind of getting that boost of momentum, being able to push these lanes in, abuse your Brood a little bit more, then it doesn't really matter if on paper you scale better if you can't control the map during that time, because you're not effectively farming. You know, Complexity are constantly looking for something now, and this is the way that they absolutely need to be playing, and they're doing a great job.
coL suddenly inside the base here. That TA, she can siege really, really well. Now about below half of its life, this tier 3 set to go down. What are Friends going to do to try to stop this push, if they could do anything at all? That's the tier 3 down. Rax is exposed. Limp going right to work here. There's going to be the jump crush, but the backstab is going to be waiting to see. Lead in, Starstorm. He gets crushed. He is barely able to make it out on the back of a BKB, and he will be good. That was way too close for comfort, and coL go right back into work, doing the demo work, trying to see if they can get these barracks down, but it looks like they made the call to kind of pull off a bit here and wait for at least the next creep wave.
He needs like a Shiva's or a Ghost Scepter or something. He's just getting blown up by Limp every time he goes in.
Disruption, but Limp keeps doing his thing. Okay, there's a purge, but it's all going to be just for that first life. Rax very close to going down. Oh man, Chessie. Whoa! Okay, she hits pretty hard, folks. We gotta go. Limp goes down to drop, and suddenly it's Friends who go on the outbreak here.
Oh my
Moving
god,
out from outside the base, they're gonna get the crush on Hanskin. They're gonna take him down. They're looking for Swindle. This Shroud just boom, 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 shoots them all down. Triple kill. Suddenly for Loa Dance. My god, she hits hard.
I feel like a couple of times this game there have been points where Swindles has tried to initiate, and he like misses the initiation, and then it just goes real bad after that point for Complexity. Like, there's no other way to say it.
Did you see how fast Chessie went down? That was crazy.
Dude, like,
he's just like, hey guys.
He was dead instantly. But that's what we were saying, you know, that the heroes are going to die quickly in the fight, and Complexity don't have a natural save. They don't have a disruption. They don't have a, you know, they don't have Grave or anything like that. And yeah, Soul Catcher obviously being a huge reason why these heroes are dropping so fast in conjunction with Amp. So when you right click and you have Amp and Soul Catcher, you're going to melt.
Now, can't forget, Friends with the Stroud lineup, they also can push very, very fast here. So any opportunity on the back end of a solid fight, and Friends can wiggle their way all the way up to the Complexity base, they're going to see how much work they can do, and we'll see if they end up turning into a bit of an even trade between base damage. It looks like they get the one Rax down. They're kind of hungry to get the other finish, but they don't want to overstay their welcome, so they quickly just jump out. Swindles tries to make his own jump in, but not going to be able to get the catch. Beautiful two-man catch with the boulder smash and the pull through, and now it's going to force Friends to go for their own re-engagement. They will be able to take down Z-Freak. Now they look, and they get down Chessie fast. Oh, this is going real south, real fast for Complexity. Hanskin desperate, dishes out the ultimate, but it gets quickly canceled down, and now they look back for Swindles. They all begin to crumble and fall. Draskell, no one from Friends is going to be going down, and they get right back into the base where they had started. Forget the Rax, we're going for the jugular, and they push in for tier 4s. This went real south, real quick for coL.
But that's the volatility of the lineups, right? They both do so much physical damage that, I mean, obviously Friends scale a little bit more physical damage into the late game than Complexity do, but they kill the base so quickly that no matter what happens, if they're in the game still and you lose 2 fights like that consecutively, like Limp, he could even be dead again here.
Oh man, I think he might be.
If he's dead,
it's over. Whoa!
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Drow Ranger.
To quote a famous movie, that escalated quickly. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a great thing for Complexity, but, you know, we spoke about it all the time. If there's chaotic fights, I think that Friends probably had the advantage, because individually, I just feel like on paper, they might be the better players. And there were too many times this game where I feel like Swindles maybe overextended a little bit and forces his team into an engagement that wasn't ideal. As soon as he misses that call on the high ground when he went for G, because G, like, blinks into Starstorm to, like, D-push, right? He misses that call. That's the opening for the rest of Friends to just be like, we're going. There's no call.